Never assume a woman will respect you just because you're a good guy. In fact, most men lose respect not by doing something major, but by doing one of these small mistakes they don't even notice. If you keep watching, you're going to understand why some men get treated like kings, while others get talked over, ignored, used, or replaced like they never mattered. See, this isn't about tricks. This is about self-command, something Stoic philosophers mastered thousands of years ago, and something most men have forgotten today. And if you don't understand these 5 mistakes, you will repeat them over and over, with the same painful results. So let's get into it. Most men think they're struggling because women are complicated. But the truth, women aren't complicated, men are just not trained to deal with their own emotions, so they react instead of responding. They chase instead of choosing. They break their own standards to impress someone who hasn't earned anything yet. Stoic philosophy, especially the teachings of Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, wasn't about being cold. It was about one thing. Master yourself first, or the world, including women, will master you. And that's the whole point of this video. I'm going to show you the 5 things men must stop doing with women, backed by psychology, real human behavior, and Stoic principles. So you can walk into any relationship holding your own value instead of begging for someone to see it. Let's dive in. 1. Never overshare your emotions too early. Here's something men don't want to admit. Oversharing feels good. It feels like connection. It feels like trust. It feels like, I'm being authentic. But here's the uncomfortable truth, early emotional oversharing isn't intimacy, it's insecurity in disguise. And women can feel it instantly. Modern psychology shows that people value things they earn, not things handed to them. This includes your trust, your respect, your story, your wounds. When you reveal these things too early, a woman may not consciously think, he's insecure, but her instincts pick up that something's off. The Stoics talked about this thousands of years ago. Emotions are powerful, but they're also private. Not secret. Private. There's a difference. Let me tell you a quick story. There was a guy, let's call him Daniel. Good-looking, smart, and genuinely kind that he met a woman he really liked, and on the first few dates, he opened the floodgates. His childhood trauma. His financial stress. His insecurities. His fear of failing. His mental battles. All at once. He thought he was building connection. She thought, why is he dumping all this on me? I barely know him. She pulled away. Not because she was cold. But because he treated her like a therapist before treating her like a partner. Listen, that there's nothing wrong with vulnerability. Stoic philosophy is not about being emotionless, it's about emotional discipline. Here's the difference. Vulnerability is sharing the truth. Oversharing is asking someone to carry your emotional weight before they're ready. The more a woman has to carry for you early on, the faster she'll lose respect for you. A Stoic man does this instead. He regulates first. He reflects second. He shares third, and only when trust has been built. Women feel safer, and more attracted, to a man who knows how to hold his own emotions before handing them over. Modern studies show that emotional stability is one of the top predictors of long-term attraction. Not looks. Not charm. Not money. Stability. In the early stages, a woman should see your confidence, your presence, and your life direction, not your internal chaos. Because if you make her your emotional landing spot too early, she'll eventually take off. 2. Never make a woman your only source of happiness. Here's a hard pill to swallow. A woman can love you deeply and still lose attraction if she feels like you've made her your whole world. This isn't because women are cruel. It's because they're human, and humans naturally pull away from anything that puts too much pressure on them. Stoic philosophy teaches something extremely simple. Depend on no one for your happiness. Not because people will disappoint you, but because depending on others makes you weak. Needy. Unstable. The moment you make a woman the center of your happiness, you stop being the man she was attracted to in the first place. Let's break this down logically. When you first meet her, she likes you because you have a life. You have hobbies. You have goals. You have discipline. You have your own purpose. But when you fall for her, a lot of men do something extremely dangerous. They slowly give up the things that made them attractive in the first place. You stop going to the gym. You stop hanging with your friends. You stop focusing on your mission. You check your phone every 2 seconds waiting for her text. You drop everything the moment she appears. And it feels romantic. To you. But to her, it feels like pressure. Like responsibility. Like you've climbed onto her emotional back and said, "Carry me." Women don't want to carry you. They want to follow you, when you're moving with purpose. Let me give you an example. A man with a purpose wakes up and asks, "What do I need to do today to become better than I was yesterday?" A man without a purpose wakes up and asks, "I wonder what she's doing. I hope she texts me." Which one do you think a woman naturally respects? Exactly. Modern psychology shows that self-expansion, meaning a person continues to grow and evolve, is one of the strongest drivers of romantic attraction. A man who makes a woman the center of his life stops expanding. He becomes stagnant. Predictable. Emotionally heavy. And here's the twist most men don't understand. When a woman realizes she has become your whole source of happiness, she loses attraction and feels guilty at the same time. It's a lose-lose. A Stoic man does this. He loves deeply, but he lives independently. He cares, but he doesn't cling. He invests, but he doesn't collapse. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In relationships, that means keep your purpose. Keep your mission. Keep your goals. And never let love make you abandon yourself. 3. Never try to fix or control her emotions. This is one of the biggest mistakes men make, and it's by far one of the least understood. A woman feels sad. You try to cheer her up. A woman feels angry. You try to calm her down. A woman feels stressed. You try to solve everything. And you think you're helping. You think you're being supportive. You think you're doing the right thing. But to her, it feels like you're trying to manage her emotions instead of understanding them. Modern psychology calls it emotional invalidation, even when you mean well. It's when someone feels something. And instead of letting them feel it, you try to push them toward another emotion. Stoics understood this deeply. You cannot control another person's mind. You can only control your response to their emotions, Epictetus said. We suffer not by events, but by the views we take of them. But here's the real translation for modern relationships. Stop trying to fix her mood. Stay grounded in yours. Let me paint you a situation. She comes home upset from work. She's venting. She's frustrated. She's all over the place, and what does the average man do? He jumps into problem-solving mode. Maybe you should talk to your boss. Just ignore them. Don't let it get to you. It's not that serious. Relax. Boom. Respect drops. Connection drops. Attraction drops. Not because you're wrong. But because you're not listening. Women don't want you to fix their emotions. They want you to hold the space for them to express their emotions without judgment. A Stoic man doesn't get pulled into her storm, he becomes the anchor. He listens. He stays calm. He brings stability. He stays grounded in his own frame. This is masculine presence at its highest level. Psychology backs this up too. Studies show that relationships with the strongest emotional bonds have one thing in common. A partner who responds with calm, grounded empathy instead of immediate problem solving. It sounds simple, but this skill separates emotionally strong men from emotionally dependent ones. A man who tries to fix everything ends up exhausted and frustrated. A man who stays centered no matter what becomes a source of strength. And here's the part you need to hear. When a woman realizes she cannot shake you or control your emotional state, she trusts you more, and feels safer with you. Stoic philosophy isn't about being cold. It's about being unshakable. Stay still. Stay centered. Stay grounded. And she will respect you more than you can imagine. 4. Never let a woman cross a boundary more than once. This one is tough for a lot of men. Not because they don't know what their boundaries are, but because they're scared to enforce them. Most men are terrified of losing a woman. So they tolerate things they shouldn't. Bend where they shouldn't. And swallow words they should have said. But here's the truth that Stoics lived by. If you don't protect your standards can't protect you. Let's break this down in a way that's painfully honest. When you allow a woman to cross a boundary multiple times, you're teaching her one thing. That your boundaries are suggestions, not rules. And once she learns that, respect leaves the relationship quietly. Way before she does. Modern psychology calls this intermittent reinforcement. It's when someone breaks a rule, and nothing happens. So they stop taking the rules seriously. Let me show you how this plays out. Imagine you tell her, I don't tolerate disrespect. Don't raise your voice at me. She raises her voice once. You say nothing. She raises it again. You argue, she raises it a third time. You apologize. Guess what? She doesn't think, oh, he's kind and patient. She thinks, he doesn't mean what he says. And in her mind, your leadership, your presence, your masculine energy, all get downgraded. Because here's what most men don't understand, a boundary is not a sentence. It's a consequence. Stoics taught that your actions, not your words, define your character. Women feel the same way. A man who enforces nothing is treated like nothing. Think about Marcus Aurelius. He ruled an empire. Yet he lived with extreme discipline. Why? Because he believed the first kingdom a man must rule is himself. If you can't enforce boundaries with yourself, your habits, your emotions, your impulses, how can you enforce them with anyone else? Now, let's be real. Enforcing a boundary doesn't mean shouting, arguing, or trying to scare her into respecting you. Stoic discipline is silent, calm, firm, unshakable. Here's what enforcing a boundary actually looks like in the real world. She disrespects you. You remove your presence. She tries to punish you with silent treatment. You don't chase. She tries to test your emotional stability. You don't break frame. This is the part most men fail to understand. Women test you not because they're evil, but because they're wired to seek stability. And nothing reveals a man's stability faster than how he handles disrespect. A man who allows disrespect is a man she cannot trust. A man she cannot trust is a man she cannot love deeply. Not because she chooses it, but because biology chooses it for her. Studies on relationship dynamics show that consistent boundary enforcement leads to higher long-term attraction. Not dominance. Not aggression. Just consistency. So here's the rule you need to tattoo into your mind. A boundary crossed once is a mistake. A boundary crossed twice is a lesson. A boundary crossed 3 times is a decision, your decision to stay weak. A Stoic man doesn't bluff. He doesn't threaten. He doesn't negotiate his self-respect. He simply lives by his standards, and expects others to do the same. If she respects you, she will rise to meet them. If she doesn't, your absence will teach her what your words couldn't. 5. Never chase a woman who isn't choosing you. This is the most painful mistake men make. And the one that destroys their self-respect the fastest. Men will chase attention, validation, approval, even breadcrumbs of affection, from women who have no interest in giving it. And every time you chase someone who isn't choosing you, you send a message to your subconscious. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve better. I should be grateful for scraps. But Stoic philosophy teaches the exact opposite. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to appear foolish and stupid regarding external things. In today's world, that means having the strength to walk away early, even if your ego screams at you to keep trying. Modern dating psychology backs this up. Attraction is built through investment, not pursuit. A woman values what she invests in. She respects what she contributes to. She desires what she chooses, but when she does none of that, and you are doing all of the work, she sees you like a fan, not a man. Let me give you a scenario. You're texting her first every day. She replies when she wants. You compliment her. She leaves you on read. You ask her out. She says, maybe. You give her attention, she gives you excuses. You think you're being persistent. But from her perspective, you're making yourself too available. And worse, you're showing you have no options. Here's the truth you don't want to hear. If you have to convince someone to see your value, they've already decided you don't have it. A Stoic man understands this deeply. He never begs for affection, attention, or respect. He lives by one rule. Mutual or nothing, mutual interest, mutual effort, mutual respect, mutual investment. That's it. And here's the twist. When you stop chasing, women who are unsure suddenly start seeing your value. Why? Because your absence reveals your worth, in ways your presence couldn't. But here's where men sabotage themselves. They stop chasing, but keep hoping. They detach, but keep checking her stories. They pull back, but still answer instantly when she finally texts. That's not self-respect. That's self-deception. Marcus Aurelius wrote something powerful. Learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference. In relationships, that means, if she's not giving you her time, her energy, or her consistency, she makes no difference to your life. So be indifferent. Not cold. Not bitter. Just neutral. Because the moment you stop chasing, you become the man women chase. What happens when you follow these 5 rules? When you stop oversharing too early, you become mysterious, not because you're hiding anything, but because you're selective. When you stop making a woman your entire source of happiness, you become a man with a mission. A man with gravity. When you stop trying to fix her emotions, you become calm. A man she feels safe around. When you enforce boundaries, you become a man she respects. A man she cannot walk all over. When you stop chasing, you become valuable. A man she must earn. These are not games. These are not tricks. These are not manipulations. This is simply what happens when a man follows the oldest rule in Stoic philosophy: control yourself. And every relationship in your life becomes easier.